Hey, it's Lynnie Wennerstrom, common sense health expert, spiritual mentor, and encourager. I want to talk about, I would like to invite you to think about judgment. What do you think about judgment? What would you say to judge someone is? And let's just look at discernment. One of the things, so I'm going to give you how I feel about judgment. What I have written in my newsletter, what I wrote is to discern is to recognize or understand something, someone, some event, something as distinct and different than something else. You know, there's that comparison, but just to see that it's different or distinct. Like somebody's idiosyncrasies. Something that somebody does is different than, like the way somebody cleans maybe is different than another. That's just discernment. You see that they do something different. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It just is, you're just discerning that that's different, unique, something different. And then judgment, to come to the conclusion that one thing is better than another. And I share that with you because you can look up in the dictionary anything. You can look up discernment, you can look up judgment, you can look up whatever word. And I'm going to invite you to think about what these words mean to you in your experience, because we can all rely on the dictionary. Now there's so many different ones. It used to be just Merriam-Webster and I can't even remember the other one, but Merriam-Webster, I guess that's the same one. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because that somebody or a group of somebodies took the time to decide what those words mean to a group, to all of us, like what those words mean. And it can be very, very helpful. And what I invite you to do is where I'm feeling very liberated and very into my own truth is to decide what those words mean for myself. And judgment and discernment. Judgment to me has created more wars, more strife, more angst, more pain than anything that I know of. And the reason it has is because if you look at a culture differently than your own, if you look, and it's not just, you're not discerning that it's different or unique, and I'm not saying you, but a person as overall. Say the Chinese, if you're an American right now, the Chinese are bad, you know, and you think about, I mean, I know several Chinese people and I love them to death. I think they're wonderful people. So it's not all the Chinese, they're just some people that are, you can call them bad apples. I really think it's all just an experience. So we can go kind of deep here, but I'm not going to do that. What I really want to do is just have you think about the words judgment and discernment in a way that can help you to think about the things that are happening in our lives today. And there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of things that are happening, events, and I'm mostly talking about the United States since I'm in the United States. And closer to that, although I don't watch television and I rarely, if my hubby has it on, but so I don't watch the news, I don't get involved with those things. I still get, every once in a while, I get some newsletters. I used to represent a freedom group and of over 350 people, and not represent, but lead that group. I actually started it, and I shifted when I recognized what I was doing, where I was putting my energy, because where you put your energy, where you put your focus, energy flows. And I recognized into that I was leading all these people into, you know, putting our free will on others. And so we were judging, and I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say me. I was judging that something was bad, and that something or someone, that was our governor. And so I took a stand for that. Now, you get to decide what you take a stand for and what is important to you. But I recognized for me and my spiritual teaching that taking a stand, saying what that governor was doing was wrong for everyone, and it shouldn't, and it was going against the Constitution and all kinds of things. Now, whether it was or whether it wasn't, I was still contributing to what he was doing, because I was putting that energy there. I was creating opposition. And so what you resist persists, which is so true, because you're putting your energy towards that. You're placing your focus on it. Therefore, you're putting energy into it. Therefore, it's growing, it's creating. This is called manifestation. So whatever you want to decide where you want to put your focus, that's entirely up to you. And that's where your power, you are incredibly powerful. Every single one of us, we are an individual expression of the one source, God, universe, whatever you want to call that higher power. We are an individual expression of that. We are a hologram of that. We contain all of that, and we get to decide in our own individual expression of that. How do we want to deal with that? How do we want to express that? Do we want to express it through judging others, through condemning them? I mean, just think about somebody in the grocery store and you look at them and think, man, they ought to lose some weight. Are you better than them because you're thinner? Or, you know what I mean? If you look back, it's that judgment versus discernment, and we are constantly judging cultures, people, situations, like that shouldn't have happened, you know. And I'm gonna go a little bit into this because there's a lot, like the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey, and I have a very good friend. She's Syrian, and her husband is Syrian, and most of her family is here now in the United States. His family is not. He came to be with her, and so they are definitely experiencing. In fact, just yesterday they had another huge earthquake, and they are so petrified of going into their buildings, because into their apartments or their homes, which are high-rise buildings, because they're afraid they're just going to fall in. So many of them are living in parks or in churches or mosques, or, you know, wherever they can feel safe, and it's cold there. She was telling me it's really cold. And so when I first heard it, I have my own feelings about like why these things are happening. And there was actually, I just thought, you know, this is really terrible. Like, this is horrible. And that love and that compassion for the people just comes out of me. And then there's anger for what's not happening, and maybe why it's happening, and just other things that in my own humanness and my own experiences and where I think things are, then there's the anger. And then I come to, wow, Lynnie, you're judging that. And let's just go a step back to incarnation. If you believe in reincarnation, then reincarnation, I said incarnation, but it coming into the carnate, the body, and then reincarnating. And I do believe that we come back over and over until we decide that we have learned our lessons or expanded where we want to, or whatever it is that we want to do, wherever we want to go in this amazing multiverse, or whatever it is that is so astounding. And so these people, if I came and I knew what I was coming into, I chose, like, I'm choosing my life. I'm choosing where I wanted to be born in this. Was I a witch burned at a stake another time? Did I get my head chopped off, decapitated another time? Did I die in a war? Did I get shot? How many times did we die in order to be reborn? How many times have we, and think about it just in this current lifetime, how many times have we gone to the very bottom? And I know I have, because I tried to commit suicide several times. And I was at the very, very bottom of my life here. Like, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't think I should be taking up breath or, anything for the air from others. And I was making it really difficult for my own family, for me being around. And it's just, that is, there's so much of there's so much in the world that we can pull it all into ourselves and then think there's nothing we can do. And then especially like if you're not looking good, feeling good, and things aren't going right in your life and your relationships, you can start getting so depressed and down on yourself, and then it's just like this cascade of things, and then people may have transitioned or died, and you're so sad. Like with my mom, I literally wanted to go with her. She was my bestest friend in the entire world and my hugest supporter and encourager. And so I didn't want to be here anymore for so many reasons. And I thought I was actually a drag because I was so depressed. And so for many, many years. So, the thing is, it's all here. It's not here. It's not in our hearts when we are thinking about all the things we can have love and compassion. But when we come to a place of judgment, saying that's wrong, why are all those people suffering? It's almost like, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, they don't. If you believe in reincarnation and you believe in that we choose to come here, which so many of the people that follow me do, because that's just basically that's part of our belief system, and there's just no doubt in my mind. That's a knowing for me. And so if that is true, then when we were at a point and we got shot, stabbed, killed, run over by a truck, burned at a stake, and whatever these horrible things that happen, if you think about this planet Earth, and these are roles that we are playing, we are on a stage. And are they any fun, some of these things? No, but how many things are beautiful and wonderful? And I mean, I'm looking at the mountains right now, which you can kind of see in the home that we're building with our little orange cones, because we still don't have the stair railing up. But it's, there's a lot of ways of thinking about this judgment, and it doesn't matter whether it's somebody in a grocery store, at a gym, or you're passing by in a car, and it's even like somebody's driving really, really slow, and you're just like, oh, traffic. This was me. And every once in a while I fall back into this, because this is a lifeline, seeking harmony, living in universal harmony. And once you understand how amazing it is to live in harmony and find that peace within, judgment helps you to find peace. When lack of judgment, when you're not judging, you're discerning, you have this peace because you're accepting that everything has a purpose. You're honoring others' journeys. Whether you consider it good or bad, there's an honoring of it. Doesn't mean that you participate in it. You don't put, like what I was doing, I put my focus with the governor and more than 350 people behind me doing that. And there was a time when I felt really, really guilty about doing that. Like, oh my God, what have I been leading all these peeparoos to do? What have we contributed to the universe? We've contributed more strife and more separation. And we are one. We are all individual expressions of the one. So back to the car thing, the traffic. So what is it that, getting in there and it's like, behind somebody that's going really, really slow. And it just becomes, we just come to a place that they're in our way, and they're a problem, and they should get out of our way. And that is judgment, because that is us deciding that we know better, what we are doing is the right way, they are doing it the wrong way. That's not only the ego, but it's judgment, and which is the ego. And the ego is not a bad thing. That's just that particular piece of the ego. Or that aspect. So I just want to share, I want to invite you to think about judgment versus discernment, and think about all the strife in your life, and where did that come from? Like, was it judgment of a situation? Was it when somebody judged you, did it feel good? When you judged someone, did you feel good? Did it feel good in your body? Because I think most of us, if we're very honest with ourselves, when we judge another, it's if we actually stop and think, like, Why did I do that? My sister told me, I just sent out the newsletter and I was talking about discernment versus judgment. My newsletter, you can get that at LynnieMotivates.com. And she said, for a decade, I've been looking at judgment as then having curiosity about it. And I love that because when you're curious and you say, no, why did I have that feeling? And you can actually like walk that feeling back. This is a tool you could use, like having the curiosity, but literally the awareness of judging someone else, an event. Go back to, Syria and Turkey. I had to do some inner work on myself. It's who am I to that this natural occurrence, whether it be natural or not natural, however you think it is, that is for me to judge that it is wrong and those people did not choose that. And that may sound harsh, but if you believe in reincarnation and you believe that we come here to experience life on planet Earth and to expand who and what we are and expand our consciousness, then did you not choose where you are and all the experiences to get you where you are today? And therefore, the people, the ones who are in the rubble and all those things, as much as our heart bleeds for these people, did they not choose that? It can't be one way for one and something different for another. It's all, because we are one. We are not separate. We are all individual expressions of that one beautiful light source, energy, whatever you want to call it. I just call it the one. And so that is a very beautiful thing, and it gives our heart peace to let others be, to live and let live. And we can go into all the tentacles of it, but when it comes right back to the very bottom line, a lot of so much strife and problems come with the judgment, the laws, all these, the borders, the boundaries. I'm not talking about personal boundaries, because you have to have personal boundaries. I'm not saying if somebody does something to you, or you feel that they did or they wronged you in some way, is that judgment? Sure, that's judgment. It's also, but it's also discernment to say, okay, that did not feel good, and so that frequency, I don't vibe I don't vibrate at that frequency, and to place boundaries and no longer be around that person or any of that kind of stuff. So that's discernment about moving yourself forward, and that's your free will, which is beautiful. It's very, very powerful. So I hope this has been helpful in some way, and I hope that you really think about judgment and discernment, and how judgment can be like to look at when it doesn't feel good. Even our legal system, judges, like, how did they become so much wiser than everyone else? It's just a role, and it's a role that we have accepted as it's okay. That's a role. They're a judge. They're powerful. They're more powerful than me because that person is a judge. Well, I'm going to tell you the way I feel. I'm going to share that they are just another soul on their journey, playing a role that they have chosen during this lifetime. And so are they any more powerful on this planet? Sure. Do you want to get involved with the man-made created law? No, I don't. I was in law enforcement, but I would never go back to that. That's just not something, the judgment of another, or any of those kinds of things, just not something that is interesting at all of interest to me. And so I'm learning to unjudge. I'm learning to discern, be more gentle in the way I come across, and to unlearn all the programming, the conditioning of what's right, what's wrong, what's good, even the words of judgment. What is your own definition? What do you feel is your own definition, without looking at the Merriam-Webster dictionary or online dictionary? What do you feel judgment is? And then what is discernment? I really invite you to look at that for yourself and see where you feel that one is different or feels better in your body, because you literally can feel things when you get judged that, that is like not being validated or affirmed. And that's another story, because that's worthiness. All of a sudden we're not worthy of somebody's approval or that kind of stuff. And so when we move away from judgment and we start shining our own light, which is so beautiful to do, things change and peace comes into our hearts. And and it's not that we don't do our best to send love and healing energy and all the things that we want. We send beautiful thoughts or things. We send beautiful thoughts to lift and inspire people who are going through a very difficult time. Yet that's an individual expression of the one. They get to choose how they respond to that, because that's just the way that we have chosen to be here when we reincarnate and come back here over and over again. So at some point we'll look back and say, wow, that was an easy life, or dang, that was horrible. Let's go try this thing. Unless you don't ever want to come back. You get to choose. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know. And I know you don't know, but because we're all asking the same question, I just happen to have a knowing now that I didn't have before, just because of all my spiritual work going inward, because going inward is the key to peace. When you love yourself, I hated myself. I tried to off myself many times. I love myself. I would never do that now. It would never even come into my consciousness at this point when it was pervasive. And what was I attracting? More dis-ease into my body. And I mean dis-ease. All of this, so much of this is in our heads. It's in our minds. And when we start feeling from our hearts and opening up and being vulnerable and actually expressing our truth, like what is judgment? What is discernment? What's our own truth? Does somebody have to spoon feed what the truth is? We've lived long enough that we can figure these things out for ourselves. We need one another. It's great to look in the dictionary and say, oh, okay, because I use it all the time. It's like, oh, what was that word? I love words. What does that mean? What are the roots? I like to dig into the roots of words. And it's like, where did that come from? And then it's really interesting where some of these words originated. And then what do they really mean to me now? What does judgment mean? And for me, I believe that it truly is what has created so much separation, because we judge one thing, one person, one event, one situation, one circumstance as better than another. And rather than discerning what feels good for us and for the benefit of all. Anyway, I leave you with that. I hope that at least puts a question or curiosity, as my sister said, I've been using this for a decade, and just having that curiosity around, why did I judge that person? Or why did I judge that situation? Or what am I, that's curious. And have curiosity like a little child about things. And you can literally walk back that judgment and make that go into beautiful, beautiful space. It's like, oh, blessings. And you can bless that person. You can bless that event. You can bless that person that's driving really slow in front of you, because that person might be having a problem, or they might be learning to drive, or they may be really afraid of weather, like snow or rain or whatever it is. You never know what another person is going through. You just don't, unless you are them. And so people who maybe I'm driving slow compared to what they want to go, and they honk and go around me, those things, they don't even happen to me anymore, because when I get in the car, it's like I drive with love and compassion. And when I don't do it, I find myself going back to my old habits. So I really make that a little mantra, a little affirmation when I get in the car almost every single time. It's rare that I miss that. But when I do, I know I do. So, and sometimes it kind of seeps out a little bit, and then it's like, okay, I drive with love and compassion. Then I get a smile and everything changes. Then I feel good again. So again, I invite you to think about, from your heart, what does judgment mean to you? Does that create separation? Does that, in separation, if we're all one, we're just individual expressions of the one. When we create separation, then things are good and bad. things are wrong and right. It's very interesting, that whole thing. And then, meaning like something's up, something's down. I'm better than them because I know how to speak this language, or I know how to clean a house better, or whatever it is. It's judgment. And that then, if it makes you feel better because you're better than someone else or something else, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying a person. So and it's all of us. We are all conditioned from birth to decide to go into judgment of other groups of people, other religions, other cultures, other whatever it is, other types of cooking, other anything. It's I hate seafood. It's this. It's I love seafood because I always grew up around seafood, and oh man, people who eat seafood or or they're bottom feeders, and I'm just throwing stuff out, but you know, it really comes down to some really silly stuff as people creating the separation. And when we judge something to be wrong or right, good or bad, or you know, we're putting it out there rather than discerning in the way that I'm looking at this as something that requires a judge to preside over and decide, because the judge is better than all beneath them. So I want you to look at a judge and say, are you better than me? Because you get to be on the Supreme Court or judge in a courtroom or whatever it is. And I look at my law enforcement years and I say, Lynnie, were you better than these people that you gave them tickets? You know, I hardly gave any tickets, by the way. That was a very big problem because my sergeant was very upset with me, that because the city, the county, the whatever, they make money. And so they say there's no quotas, but I'll tell you right now that there were when I was, and that was a long time ago. I'm not going to tell you now because I haven't been in law enforcement for many, many years. Take that as you will. Anyway, I love you so incredibly mucho, and I'm so grateful that you would listen to this, and I hope that you will share this with others. And more than anything, I hope that this has put some thinkings, helped you to think through a little more deeply, so that we can come back to a place of love and kindness and do unto others as we would have done to ourselves, and a place. And it's not Pollyanna, you know, it really is just moving into that beautiful place to create heaven on earth, which we can do. And so I want to encourage you to do that for yourself, because it's way more fun. I cannot tell you the peace I have. And people could say right now what I have going on in my life. It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, you know, and it's like, no, it's thank you, but I'm celebrating some things are not so fun right now. And that's okay, because that's part of my journey too. And am I going to judge it? Sometimes I do, as wrong or right or good and bad. And then I come back to my tool. Can I discern? Does that feel good in my body? Can I be curious about it? And is it for my own good? And can I honor my own journey that I chose? And can I talk to my higher self and say, what's the lesson here? And I want to learn that so I can move forward. So maybe a few more tools for you. All right. I love you so very mucho. And I hope you've enjoyed the home is coming along. Can you tell? Like the floor, well, you've seen that already. We still don't have the railing. And I don't want to take more of your time because now I'm almost at 30 minutes. Oh my goodness. But the floor in the bathroom has been laid, and that's tile. It looks like wood, but it's tile. It's amazing. So, so next Tuesday we'll meet again. And I love you so incredibly mucho. Have a fantabulous day. LynnieMotivates.com is my website. And we will, and I'm also going to start having I will have a masterclass on moving a guide to non-judgment and living in harmony, because when we live in harmony, it feels so good. And I invite you again to go to LynnieMotivates.com. It's being revamped, my website. Maybe by the time you've seen this, it will have been revamped. But as of today, on the 20th of February, it is not revamped. So 2023, dating this video possibly, but then everything happens all at once and it's all beautiful. So no matter what, hopefully the wisdom that I have learned, I hope this has inspired you to, and encouraged you to go a little deeper and go into that oneness, because it's beautiful. All right, see you later. Ciao.